By far, the area of Tokyo that I remember the most and that stands out the most is the Shinjuku area. Traditionally, Shinjuku, or at least the Kabukicho area, was Tokyo's sort of seedy red light district. And although today you can still go there to find adult entertainment and, let's say, comfort, Shinjuku is also a large, vibrant neighborhood that consists of a skyscraper district. It also is home to Tokyo's gay neighborhood, the Nichome. The Golden Guy area, which is a little area of narrow lined streets with bars and restaurants, as well as the largest train station in Tokyo and one of the largest and busiest in the world, the Shinjuku Central Station. Although Shinjuku is a must-see at any time of the day, you absolutely must go to Shinjuku at night. When you think of, or at least the stereotypical vision of Japan, a place of neon lights and bright colors, what you're really thinking of is Shinjuku, and especially Shinjuku at night. I just remember walking around, just wandering the streets, being in awe at what felt like I was in an amusement park. You know, for anyone who's from the Greater Toronto area, it felt like I was walking through the exhibition on a summer day. It was something that still sticks with me to this day. The colors, the bright lights, all of these establishments to kind of clash in together. It's something that you absolutely must experience for yourself at least once. So first and foremost, I say go to Shinjuku and go to Shinjuku at night. At a minimum for all of the amazing, wild people watching that you'll get. Of course, you should go to Shinjuku during the day as well, but I almost recommend holding off on going to Shinjuku until you go to it in the evening first. What you see in the evening is very different than what you see during the day, because during the day Shinjuku is a sort of business, financial sort of district that coincides with its other sort of sister financial district, not necessarily the Marunouchi main area, which is by Tokyo Central Station, but Shibuya. But at nighttime, it transforms into this a party land. I don't know how else to describe it except a place where everybody goes to just have a good time. So I say see Shinjuku at night first before you see it during the day. If you're in Shinjuku at night, two other areas that you must see in the evening as well are the neighbourhood or the Nichome, as well as the Golden Guy area, which, as I said before, is a series of narrow streets with clusters of bars and restaurants that line these very thin alleyways that can really only fit one person at a time. I made a separate video where I already talked about the Nichome or Tokyo's gay neighborhood, so I'm not going to go over everything that I said in that video that is already online and on my YouTube channel. What I will say is that the Nichome is the main area where the largest cluster of gay bars sort of exist, and it's only about a 10-minute walk away from Shinjuku Station. So if you're in Shinjuku and you're not necessarily looking to have like a full night out, let's say, it's a very short walk from Shinjuku Central and the area that surrounds it. If you're just looking to kind of wander through the neighborhood, check it out, or maybe stop off somewhere for a drink in the same way that I did. There are a few popular spots in the area. There's Dragon Man, which is the bar that I visited. There's also the Black Eagle, which is, you know, a very well-known gay establishment or chain. I'm not sure if it's a chain or not, but they have a Black Eagle in Tokyo as well. And there's also Golden Finger, which is just around the corner. There are, of course, so many bars in that area, and the Nichome is not the only place where you will find gay establishments. There are bars and clubs and other spaces that cater to gay and queer clientele all over the city. So, you know, don't think that the Nichome is the only area. Feel free to type in, you know, gay bars or even just gay in any neighborhood that you're in, and you'll be surprised what pops up. There's there's spots in the Marunouchi area, there's spots in Shibuya, and Roppongi, and so on and so forth. But the main cluster of bars and spaces that you're going to find is in Shinjuku. The Golden Guy area is often described as a hidden gem, and for good reason. You could quite literally walk past a neighborhood and not even realize that you missed it. The Golden Guy area is essentially a very small square with, I think, 4 or 5 very, very narrow streets, alleyways, if you will, that are lined with bars and restaurants. And I think that even me trying to find it using Google Maps, I walked by it a few times because there's a wall that surrounds it, and you can only access it from a handful of entry points. I think actually just one gate on each side. So it's somewhere that you really don't just stumble upon. You might even have trouble trying to find it when you're actively looking for it and using technology like a mobile map like Google Maps to help you find it as well. When I visited the Golden Guy neighborhood, I enjoyed the little amount of time that I spent there. And you could tell that it used to cater towards artists and creatives. It had a boho sort of vibe to it. Although now I will say that the neighborhood, although it still does cater to local clientele, it is very popular as a tourist attraction. And so you'll actually find, at least when I went later on in the early evening, that you'll mostly see tourists at that point wandering the streets and enjoying, libations and food at the various establishments that line all of the narrow alleyways. I will say that when I was there, I didn't stop to have a drink or eat anything because it was very weird for me. It was one of the few instances where, as a very, I want to say a certified solo traveler or as a very comfortable solo traveler, I didn't feel comfortable going into any of the establishments because most of them are so small. It's usually enough space for a single bartender or staff member. And then there's usually maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 seats or bar stools, a couple of which might actually even be on the outside. We're talking maybe a couple of meters in length, and in some places you can't even open your arms fully from one end to the other without touching the walls. They're that small. So walking inside to have a drink by myself and either trying to make awkward conversation with the bartender, or if there was a group or a couple that was already there, sort of feeling like I was encroaching on their space, it's just, yeah, it didn't really work for me. So I was happy to walk through the neighborhood. I'm glad that I went. But it's something that I would definitely go back and experience with people, with friends or a partner or so on and so forth. It wasn't something that I sat down and fully enjoyed, as a solo traveler, just because there wasn't enough space for that anonymity. I just found that it was too intimate. But hey, maybe you are braver than I am, and maybe that's exactly what you're looking for. And I can say that if you're looking to have conversations with locals or to meet other people, tourists or locals, this is the place to do it. Shinjuku Skyscraper District is home to 2 really interesting buildings that I want to point out. The first one is the Cocoon Tower, which is also known as the Mode Gakuen. I'm sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. And the Cocoon is actually home to 3 different educational institutions, but it really is a sight to see in person. The other one is the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, which is actually home to 2 great observation decks. I understand that Tokyo has 2 other skyscrapers or 2 other structures that have observation decks. One, of course, being the Tokyo Tower, the other being the Tokyo Skytree. But what's really great about the view from the government observation decks is that A, it's free, and B, you actually get these really beautiful panoramas. And on a clear day, you can even see Mount Fuji from these buildings. The observation decks, because it's an office building, are very large, very open, very spacious. You don't feel claustrophobic like you do, I would say, in a lot of other observation towers that have very narrow walking space and kind of force you to walk around in circles. Here, this is basically like an entire office building floor that's just kind of open with these big windows that you can walk around and take your time enjoying the view and pictures and so on and so forth. I really enjoyed it, and I would say that if you're going to do only one Observation tower, I don't know if you need to do all three. I would pick this building. I would pick this observation deck over the Tokyo Skytree and over the Tokyo Tower. It's really just that fantastic. And again, it's free. One last place that I think is worth mentioning is the Gyoen National Garden. It was once reserved for royalty, but now is open to the public for a pretty affordable price of only about 500 yen, which is about $5 Canadian. I don't know if I would personally go out of my way just to visit the garden, but if you are in Shinjuku, I say pay the $5 and go and see it. Especially if you're visiting Tokyo on a hot day or a particularly sunny day. It's a really great place to get a little bit of reprieve from the heat. It's a really great place to find some shade. I say sit down under a tree, enjoy the nice views, go for a nice casual walk. It is a really lovely garden, but again, I don't know if it's necessarily somewhere that I would go and visit specifically if I weren't in the Shinjuku area or if it was out of the way. But again, if you are in Shinjuku, I say pay your $5 and go and enjoy the gardens. There are some really beautiful views and some really beautiful structures to see there too.